My name is Jan Vasbinder, Jan Wouter Vasbinder, and I'm the director of a very small organization at NTU called Paralimes. And on behalf of Nanyang Technological University, I welcome you to what I trust will be a very exciting conference. The conference is organized by Balázs Gulyás and by Paralimes. While Balázs took care of the content, Paralimes took care of all the rest. In fact, Karen took care of all the rest. My role, or rather the role of Paralimes, is to explore the possibilities for conferences like this, to initiate them and to organize them. So let me say a few words about Paralimes and what it stands for. Paralimes was established by the president of NTU, Professor Bertel Anderson, who wanted a small unit in the university to explore areas of interest beyond the traditional boundaries of disciplines, institutes, and nationalities. In this spirit, Paralimes initiates exploratory projects by teams of world-class scientists, philosophers, artists, policymakers, and men and women of practice. The conference East-West Connections, Grand Challenges in the Brain, Cognition, and Good Life Research perfectly meets this spirit. This is, in fact, the third conference around this theme. Balázs will say more about it later. We have done and are planning quite a number of other exciting projects and conferences as well. But rather than listing what we have done and what we are planning to do, I will show you a short video about our most recent project, a discussion between 6 eminent scientists on the grand challenges. The discussion was on the grand challenges that science and universities will face in the coming 25 years. The discussions took place in June, and the video is still under construction. And you'll see that it's still under construction. And it's still that it will, but just to give you an impression of what it will be, we'll show you the introduction.
There are many grand challenges in science, but what is the grandest? Us.
Biology is much more mathematical than mathematics.
And indeed, technology is very important, but it's not exactly the same as science, nor is it the same as innovation. And very often we mix up these concepts.
So I think the fundamental questions will always be, I think, those of evolution.
The origin of life is a notoriously difficult problem, but the scariest thing is that actually it might very well be the case that we are the only intelligent life in the universe, but that means that the value of the biosphere is much greater in that case, and then our responsibility for it is much greater in that case.
Now, everyone wants to know, is there any life on any of those places? There might be something swimming under the ice of Enceladus. There's probably nothing much on Mars, but things are much more exciting if we look beyond our solar system to the realm of the stars, far further than we can send any probe today.
So I think this is going to be a golden era for science. Digitization, or if you like, algorithms or computation, is bringing in science after science, powerful new instruments or powerful new technologies that can see whether it's what happened at the beginning of the cosmos, whether it's what's happening in the human brain or in animal brains, or what's happening, say, in the oceans. We're getting scientific technologies that did not exist 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We're seeing new phenomena, and we're seeing complete new worlds we barely knew existed.
One of the most exciting discoveries in recent years has been that most of the stars in the sky are orbited by retinues of planets, just like the Sun is orbited by the Earth and the familiar planets. These planets aren't seen directly, they're seen by transits. If you look at a star, and if a planet moves across in front of it, it blocks out a bit of its light, so the brightness of the star dips. every time. So if you see regular dips, you know a planet is coming round.
It's true that the rate of background extinction of species in the biota is a few species per year. That's the background that's for natural reasons. Now the human-induced extinction of species is much faster than that, to the extent of 1,000 to 10,000-fold. If it continues like that, we might in the year 2050 have lost 50%. That's 1/2 of the existing species of the world. And that's a man-made mass extinction.
So what you're looking at here is the brain of a zebrafish. This is a larva, has around 80,000 neurons, and each of these little dots here represents a single neuron, and it's glowing. It's glowing because there's a genetically encoded calcium dye that glows when the neuron is active. This particular zebrafish is embedded in agar, so it can't move, and there's no sensory input. So this is really a case where you've shut off the sensory input and there's no motor output. You're just seeing what's going on in the brain of a spontaneously active brain of a zebrafish. Well, the pattern is changing. Patterns that come and go, both throughout the entire brain. Now, it's called spontaneous activity. What was that? There was a flash here. There's another flash. What's going on in the brain? We have no idea. We're trying to interpret all this activity that's being internally generated that isn't connected to the world.
If you were to ask this general question to any scientist, they will say the grand challenge is how can I get hold of money to do science? And I think that in itself is interesting. Science is something now which countries practice and are proud of. They have to spend a certain fraction of their GNP on what they call research and development, and this is the way they are measured in the league throughout the world. And for the working scientist, that is his big challenge, is what can he do to get money to support his work.
We have to make a special effort, and it's a continuous effort, I can assure you, of convincing them that unless investment goes into this kind of, call it fundamental science, call it frontier research, whatever the name, where you do not yet know what the outcome will be, is essential for the 21st century to continue. Science is the best invention that humanity has made to bring the future with all its enormous potential into the present. But it needs society and a close interaction with society to shape it. Thank you.
Able to see all the videos that we make out of this 4 days discussion on our website and later on YouTube in a month or two. So if you're interested, we'll mail the moment that it's available to you. And now I would like to give the word to my inspiring friend, intellectual sparring partner and hidden treasure of Paralimes, Balas Gurjas.